You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice, rr@gmail.com. Okay, you know what? We're going to do a couple, we're going to do some new things here with the life advice. I've got a personal trainer who's a guy who's been really cool to me over the years. I don't know that we've actually ever hung out, but he's an IG model, so he's wicked cool. He's actually great. But he's going to come on and do life advice, all fitness related, all right? Because I don't think I'm qualified to do it. And honestly, my father is so sick of hearing about people talking about me working out. He's like, I wish you were fat and out of shape. I'm so sick of hearing about this. He's like, you're not even that impressive physically. I'm like, yeah, no, more. I'm exaggerating here a little bit. And then we got Damon John this week. So do this. Hit us up. You could just put fitness in the title. I mean, I guess you don't have to, whatever, because I just want to be able to sort these for Kyle the right way. But so we'll do some fitness ones with my guy who we'll confirm it later, so I'm not going to use his name yet. But Damon John is coming on. So I don't know. He's a little different than just straight investing. I'm trying to find the right guy for that. But this will be maybe people starting businesses, small businesses. You know, I'll ask him about, where he sees everything, especially this next year. Hey, where are you with stocks and that kind of stuff? Because I know a lot of people keep asking. I don't feel qualified to be like, hey, well, I did this and this worked, and then here are the things that I didn't do, and then everybody just starts, trying to do whatever I did, and I'm not even saying. There's no guarantees. I would hate to give anyone advice. I'm not going to pick stocks for you. I'm not going to do that stuff. I mean, the most basic thing ever is just make sure if you have any kind of 401k that you're kicking in because you're losing free money basically by not doing it if your company matches. So there you go. All right. Here we go. Big fan of the show. Got a question situation. A little bit about me. 29, live in Boston. Have a pretty successful career in real estate going. Side note, not a huge fan of the real estate advice you dole out, especially the mortgage stuff. Oh, okay. Well, don't quote a guy a number and then say, hey, we're actually going to need like 30% down after you've closed. Sort of closed, but not really. But I get it. I'm not anti every realtor and mortgage person. I've had some frustration in the past. And I don't think that's, I'm not going to do the real estate segment. So let's keep it moving. All right, here we go. I'm a big guy, 6'4", and have always been a bigger guy. Big frame, carry my weight pretty well. Kyle knows that. After college, I let myself go a lot. Didn't adjust to adult life all that well. A lot of us don't. Worked too much, ate poorly, never went to the gym. I ballooned up to 370. Ooh. 370. That's big. All right. He says he's down to 285 now. Diet comes and goes, but I've gotten pretty religious about going to the gym, so it's done pretty well for me. This past year, since my weight loss, I've been a lot more active in the dating pool than I was before. Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't know that there's a ton of depth at 370 for you. Like if you're a girl and you're going to date somebody 370, that's like almost a fetish. I can't imagine. I mean, dropping 100 pounds, you're like, all right, because dude, 370 is big. That's big. So yeah, I'm psyched. It doesn't, whenever a bigger guy is emailing the show, being like, the dating pool, you got to think about the other side sometimes in that dating pool, right? You're gonna be like, hey, if I weigh 370, will a ton of girls like me? Or if I weigh 100 pounds less, will there be more girls that like me? So there you go. Okay, so he's crushing it. Not a ton of sustained relationships, mostly a series of hookups. Okay. I finally met a girl I really like. I knew I liked her from the jump. She's a gorgeous 25-year-old Peruvian girl who's way out of my league. Nice. We matched in a dating app. In an effort to impress her, I'm worried I may have overdone things. First date was at one of the best restaurants in the city, number 9 Park. Second one was one of the more expensive steakhouses, Girl 23. Shout out. I usually stay around Girl 23. When I go home. Things have been really, really great. We've been seeing each other for about 2 months. Finances aren't an issue. Like I said, I do well. My man broke down how well he does, including investment properties and the whatnot at 29. Super proud of you. All right. So, but I don't think that's essential to where he is with his mortgage and tenants to you, but our guy's doing well here. So he says, I'm just worried that I'm setting myself up to be used. I've still got the fat guy insecurity that creeps into the back of my head saying she's only with you because of your money. Am I overthinking this? Is it even the worst thing if she's tolerating me because of this? It's not like I'm about to propose or anything. Okay. Wants to know if I've had any experiences. If somebody who's really attractive wants to date me and tell their friends because he's doing all right, I don't care. I mean, all of us are keeping track of what the other person brings to the table. Okay. So some are categorized as like, oh, that's kind of shitty. But like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like you're attracted to her and that's why you're hanging out with her. And maybe if she's like, let me rephrase this. I don't blame anybody for wanting to be with somebody who's successful. Right. And if you, by being successful, end up meeting somebody who likes you, then, all you're doing is putting together your own personal portfolio of what positives you bring to the table. And if a good career and some money are part of it, can you blame the other person? I mean, especially in this situation, like what person would be like, I want to meet somebody broke who has no prospects? What if this is somebody that wanted to start a family and they go, okay, this guy's got his shit together. So if that's what it is, like I get, hey, I don't want to be used. They're going to see signs. Okay. Like there's times, like there was one person I remember she didn't pay for anything, like nothing ever. And she actually did all right. Okay. But never paid for anything. If it was fucking frozen yogurt, she'd like have her hand out for 10. And I was like, oh man. And I don't care. I don't care for paying for everything. I expect to. I'm older, whatever. It's not a big deal. But every now and then there are little signs you can say like, oh, okay, this person's going to be like great with money or this person's going to be terrible with money. And look, it wasn't like I was going to get married anyway. But first, like you said, you're not about to propose. So if she's hanging out with you and you like hanging out with her, and part of it's because you're successful, don't apologize for that. Who cares if guys are like, oh man, the only reason she's with him? Who cares? Who cares? Like the athlete that's dating somebody, oh, the only reason she's with him is because he's an athlete. Yep. The older guy with a much better looking younger girlfriend. Like, oh, the only reason yep, because she's hot. Exactly. Yep. I prioritize that over all the other things. Sorry, So don't worry about any of this stuff. Just don't. I wouldn't. And then if, she has these moments where you're like getting a little thrown off, you're like, oh, wait, is she going to be bad with money? I don't know. Maybe leave $100 on the dresser and see if she steals it. Just kidding. Don't do that. Okay. Want to follow up with our bar cart guy. Because Kyle was really excited. Kyle had an emergency Zoom meeting for potential investors.
I've been thinking about it.
He's been thinking about you. He did write back. He goes, thanks for reading that. Update, the ex got her own dog. So that window was closed, but you'll probably still be good friends for a long time, which I can deal with. It was her move to leave, by the way. All right. So I think we can kind of figure that out. So this is the guy that wants to either stay. We were saying, hey, move. That he wants to start a bar car thing. And so he said that even though it's in the Panhandle, the bar's a vintage Airstream that's gutted into a bar. So sick. That's probably, Kyle's freaking out right now. He wants pics. But this is the follow-up. This is the reason I'm reading it. Normally, I'm not always doing these. He said, when it does get rolling, that Kyle and myself have a round or two on him. All right. And some merch. Visors, Kyle. This guy's
going with visors. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyle's so excited. Kyle and I talked about this off the air afterwards, where he was like, yeah, dude, it's like, I think he's really on to something. I'm already imagining
the color of it. This is great.
I know. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are on that kind of thing. Like, can you just start one? Is it a food truck, but then you can just have a mobile bar?
I thought liquor licenses were like addresses, because there's a spot I just moved into across the street. There's like an empty place and it says it's got a liquor license already. So if you wanted to move in there. So I was wondering if like it's like tied to an address,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
the liquor license game is like one of the hardest things to be in, just from like the very limited background that I have of knowing people who have to get them.
Yeah, all my friends had them, for the bars back in Burlington, so it wasn't that hard. One guy got in trouble, and then they threatened to take it away from him. So, a lot of times that's what you're buying. You're right, like whether it's extending the lease or buying. I think there are going to be so many places that are closed next summer or this upcoming summer, like places that are still hanging on, and that's the thing that. Of the many things that have sucked in the last year. But I worry about the small business people too, because I just think that you've spent your whole life getting this thing open, and you're going to probably make a bunch of bad financial decisions to do whatever you can to keep it open. And obviously with people thinking, hey, maybe this will be a couple months, and then it's like, no, everything's closed again. I don't know. This outdoor seating thing here in my town's ridiculous. They basically, a bunch of these restaurants are going to stay open with outdoor seating, and everybody was fine with it. And then a couple people on the town board said nope, and then they started leaving the tables out there, and you could do the takeout and just sit there, and then they shut that down too. But then supposedly in February they're just going to let everybody do outdoor seating again. So I don't know. I'm not trying to go on some rant and complain about it all. It's just I don't really know what's going on. All right, let's pick one more here. This one's not an advice. Podcast is great. Happy for you. You commented recently how hard you work on your legs and that it shows. We just went over this, so this is my fault. He's like, I wasn't entirely convinced. I did some research and found a pic from 2014, and I was shocked. They're goddamn statuesque. Thanks, man. Okay. Government contractor, early 40s. Working, this guy's over in Afghanistan. With COVID and troop withdrawal, back of hangars become a makeshift gym. All parties working program, roughly 60-day on, 60-day off rotation. I guess that's what they're saying here, 60-day on. So people come and go all the time. New group arrived few days back, and this morning have this guy working out shirtless in this shit-ass gym. For me, I'm like, what the fuck? Pretty disgusted. Coworkers, not so bothered. I work 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, and most of that is in the hangar. Is it or is it not just bad etiquette? Guy also scoots around on electric skateboard thing board with one big wheel, so maybe just pegged him as a douche from the beginning. All right. I was going to say there's a lot. There actually isn't much here to this. So I don't think, would I like it better if you could not wear a shirt at the gym? I actually would. But would I do it? No, I probably wouldn't do it. Like, I think it's funny and I think it's kind of awesome. But at the same time, I don't know. It's kind of I can't believe, I don't know. I'm very split on it because I wouldn't do it because it's such a bad move, even though I'd love the option. Does that make any sense? I don't think that makes any sense.
There's already gym tanks that are so close to not wearing a shirt. Like, that should just be almost as good of an option.
I'll leave you with this. When ESPN, I used to work out in that gym all the time because the first, few years that I was living in the hotel, Skip Bayless and I staying in the same hotel for 3 years. I would go to the ESPN gym, and my schedule back then, was pretty erratic. So you never quite knew. And I, had a membership back at the place in Boston where I missed that pickup hoops lunch game so much. It's unbelievable how much I missed that game. So I I like to wear like shooting tanks. I have an NC State one, Chris Corciani. For whatever reason, some guy was the GM of some like semi-pro league, and he had all the stuff he was throwing out. And he was like, yeah, Chris Corciani was signed to the team for a while, and he left his NC State practice jersey. He's like, do you want it? I was like, are you shitting me? Of course I want that. And so I would work out in that. And that's funny because now everybody's on the tank thing. Like, the tank thing's totally cool now. ESPN would constantly getting the people, not ESPN. It wouldn't be like, hey, Jimmy Pitaro's on the phone. He wants to talk about your gym attire. But I would get asked to put a shirt on at the ESPN gym. And I did another thing there where there was like a vertical jump testing thing. And so you had to like take the Velcro piece and put it on the Velcro part of the wall. And I was just slamming into the wall, testing my vert. And the female trainer came running out. She hated me. She came running out. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm testing my vert. Like, why is this here? If I'm not supposed to test my vert, why have it in the first place? Like, it's right here. It has all the numbers. And so, yeah, they constantly were like, hey, you need to put a shirt on. I think one time they made me put on like a gross lost and found thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I honestly felt like they were like hazing me a little bit. And then they took out all the benches too. All the benches. Chris Cotter was beside himself. It was just like, okay, you guys did this. Like, you put all these racks in. It's a little bit more CrossFit here, but like, you can't just keep one old man bench in here.
Like, this is not that kind of gym.
Yeah, right. I felt like they were doing it to prove a point. Like, oh, it's not even functional. And you're like, okay, all right, yep, cool. You kept the incline, but not a flat. Like, there was no actual flat area. Well, they had some dumbbell ones over there. Okay, for a guy who said he didn't want to talk about the workout thing, that's literally all I did on this one. So not the greatest life advice. We'll make up for it later this week. Enjoy the week, everyone. Thanks a lot.